Hello, Chunky. It's the voice of reason for a Sunday afternoon. We're back live with the phone in tonight from 9. I'm a little bleary-eyed today. We had a few vodkas and Diet Cokes after the show last night. It was wonderful to be amongst people and to find community. I think one of the problems with this 9/11, this September the 11th, 2022, is there is a feeling of confusion that I'm seeing amongst people who don't know how to feel. They feel that it's the end of an era with losing Her Majesty the Queen and the beginning of a new dawn with King Charles III. And they are, of course, right. It is a new dawn with a man who's very political. Yesterday, I upset a few people by saying I didn't like the fact that it was all very political, with a line of Sadiq stood next to little Keir Cars and, of course, Tony Blair. It makes me nervous when politics is involved in any form of religion or indeed royalty. We know that Charles is very political, although made sort of nods to the fact that he would be far less political, moving away from some of the groups that he has been so closely associated with for so long. As we sit here on 9/11 2022, as they called it in America, here we say September the 11th, I think back 21 years. I went to New York 6 months after the tragedy and spoke to everybody from the Duchess of York to firemen, policemen. And I remember the sense of hopelessness and confusion. And we've got to moderate that here and realise that it was not a tragedy, the passing of Her Majesty the Queen. It is a great sadness. And I think the two are very different. The emotions we need to clear up. And I think this constant dreary music they're playing on the radio, pulling all comedy. They're not even allowed to play jingles on the BBC. Even Heart and Global have dropped all the ads. It feels very strange. And everybody's on the downbeat. And I know we need to be respectful, as we were last night in Blackpool. But at the same time, I gave three cheers for the Queen, because that's how I feel. She was a great ambassador. She was a faultless ruler, and her monarchy, despite all their attempts to sabotage themselves, she just fought for tomorrow. And my takeaway from last night's community of 500 or 600 people who came to the North Pier was that if you just stay together and you keep clear in your mind and know that it will pass, everything that's negative will pass. Tomorrow is a new day, and our new dawn will hopefully bring new light and warmth instead of the stinking drains and cold that we felt through the summer, worrying whether our Auntie Fanny is going to die on the toilet this Christmas, frozen to death whilst having a movement. That should have gone away now, but it hasn't been made clear by the media because they haven't talked about the news. I find it really concerning that we know nothing today of what's going on around the world, and we have to be very cautious of this ongoing period of mourning, which could be another 2 weeks, by the way. I think it is going to be another 2 weeks, 7 days after the funeral of the Queen. I worry what is being swept under the carpet. Do you remember 9/11? It's so profound. We're talking on this day that was the day politicians were told to bury bad news. Well, many people have opinions about 9/11 and don't believe what really happened, as we were told in the mainstream media. And who does believe the mainstream media anymore, having had so many lies? Last night I went to Blackpool. Blackpool turned the lights off for 2 nights during illumination season, and football matches are being cancelled and lots of things are being postponed. I understand on the day of the funeral we must be 100% respectful and we must cancel everything. But I'm not sure this economy needs things closing like Blackpool when people have travelled up there to see the illuminations. That's a bad example because it's just lights, but it's symbolic of what's going on. Nobody knows what to say. Of course, some footballers from TalkSport know what to say, but they'll be forgiven because they're playing the boo-hoo victim card, which of course so many people do these days. I was very impressed, by the way, yesterday. I didn't like that ceremony with little Keir Cars and Tony Blair and Sadiq stood there, making it all political. As I've said previously, I'm not into politics with religion or the royals. But Penny Mordaunt, I thought, did an amazing job. Just be very cautious Googling Penny Mordaunt's brother. I think if this is justice in this country, that you can send videos of your private parts to 12 or 14-year-olds and not be incarcerated for the protection of 12 to 14-year-olds, we have to be nervous about who we're making examples of and who we're not. Also, don't Google inheritance tax, whatever you do, because you'll see there's clearly one rule for one and one rule for another when it comes to this country. But let's not be downbeat. Let's talk about what is happening. Well, the phone-in's on tonight at 9, when we will allow you to have your say about a week of madness with the energy crisis stuff and Truss coming in and Boris going out. His speech was brilliant, by the way, I have to say, on Thursday. Absolutely remarkable. In fact, it was Friday when he spoke. He I'm sure, will not be happy at the fact that had he have hung on as Prime Minister another week, he could have done a job far better than Liz Truss, who sadly still appears to have the passion of a root vegetable and the personality of someone who, well, has never lived a life. It's a shame, really, because going from Boris to Liz is slightly underwhelming. What is amazing is that William and Harry are back together, apparently an hour before the walkabout. Harry was invited. Her Majesty today has been driven to Edinburgh and people lining the streets, flowing flowers, and it was beautiful. This is the celebration of life we need, to be respectful and to be classy and to bring people together, but getting on with our lives at the same time and not damaging this devastated economy, which still continues to be completely fucked, by the way. Let's not forget all the real stuff that's going to be with us 2 weeks on Monday when all of this period of mourning ends. We cannot just turn the news off because we want to obsess over this. I understand it should be top story. I understand we're in mourning, but we do need to know what's going on with the pound, for example, against the dollar. I mean, you only need to look at that to see where we're going and how do we bring down this inflation, get people back into work, lazy bastards off their sofas, not taking benefits, watching This Morning, winning their electric bill via Philip and Holly. They've dropped that, by the way. Good timing that Liz made a little speech that it wasn't necessary in the first place. But let's never forget the heartache they've put across this nation for the last 6 weeks, maybe more, terrifying people that they were going to freeze to death this Christmas and not be able to feed their families with their fisted turkey and Brussels sprouts, which should be put on any day now, by the way, if you want to prepare for Christmas. I noticed the chocolates are in the supermarkets. Prince William and Harry together, they were asked, and very nice hand-holding from Meghan, who was allowed to join the royal family. She was not welcome at Balmoral, as we were told on the day of the Queen's passing. She is welcome to hold Harry's hand, doing the old scratchy on the hand, a bit like a baby sucking the boob, isn't it, that? It's sort of reassurance, if you ask any psychologist. I was thrilled to see a picture of Princess Anne today, a hugely dignified royal, a class act, and has not been seen, and looks very forlorn and devastated, having lost mummy. But we must remember this is a family mourning, but it is a tragic event for the family, especially after what they've been through since the passing of Prince Philip. We've also got Liz Truss going on tour with King Charles III, which is an interesting move, and we wonder, when will we get back to normal? Well, we will find out sooner or later. We must remember, as this beautiful Paddington bear is being handed to the new Prince of Wales, who thanked little Gollum Prickford for allowing him to be that, we've got to remember that we still have dinghy divers arriving on our shores, and that hasn't gone away either, and that there were 1,500 excess deaths last week. That's still a major problem, with 6.7 million people queuing to be in the NHS, now ran by a lady who smokes and drinks. So let's not take our eye off the ball. Let's remember Her Majesty, the greatest patriot of this country. I thank you for coming last night. If you came to Blackpool's North Pier, we had an amazing time with Katie Hopkins. It was a magical feeling of community, and that's all we try and do. Make people laugh, take the pish, bring up things that are on our minds, and be together. That is what we need to be right now. And we will be at 9 o'clock with the phone in at alexbelfield.com. We continue to do the news this week at 6 a.m. There's not much news around. Whether it will be the 30-minute 50 to 70 stories we've been doing for months, I don't know. There is little news around, and we're not going to make it up. So we need to get the news back on the air. That is a priority for this nation, so that there aren't sneaky shenanigans that could teach us a lesson. All right, I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. Have a nice week, and remember the optimism. Stop listening to Labi Siffre and the Carpenters, We've Only Just Begun, or Close to You, which all the radio stations seem to be playing to depress us. Let's have some optimism, celebrating the life of a 96-year-old who was a hero and a legend and the love of the nation. I shall see you tonight from 9 for the phone in at alexbelfield.com. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
He's talking about, when he's still boasting about 40 new hospitals, is beyond me, but that's not why you rang in. Suspended by YouTube, strip search for being a bomber too. A witch hunt by the beef and cancelled by Ben O'Leary at the Dopey Times. We don't get too tiny shites. Let's go rogue and ad-free at alexbelfield.com. The secret VOR club. Sign up now and get shushy shush shush. Don't tell the lefties or the woke tart shushy.
Did you hear that? That was the voice of fucking reason, wasn't it?
Oh, shushy, shushy, please be quiet. This tippy-tappy gobshitery ain't for you. Alex Belfield's voice of reason.